Hello folks, how's everybody doing? I am just practicing a little bit here. This is a Yamaha Rex 50 that I recently got. It's sort of the desktop version of an SPX 90, which is basically it's a 80s piece of gear that does sort of a phaser flanger thing. It's sort of its job. And it is quite old. This thing is 30 years old. So it is vintage gear. Now, the Distortion is from a Maiden Super Lead. This is a clone of a Soldano preamp that they used to make a long time ago called the X88R. And this is a guy that makes these, hand builds these in Russia, a guy named Maiden. So yeah, it's a very cool piece of gear. These are about $400 each for the single channel, and it just does this. I mean, that's it. It does high gain lead stuff. That's it. Now this little thing on top, this is a Hotend Mojo diamond, so it's a little bitty 5-watt amplifier, and it is driving this Randall 4x12 that the whole thing's sitting on. And this thing is just pure 80s as it gets, man. This high gain tone is from an 80s preamp. This is literally an effects unit from the 80s. And this guitar is from 1989. So yeah, this gear is about authentically 80s as you get, which is always a good thing. Who's here with me? Hello, people. Hello, Todd here. Just jamming a little bit. Thought I'd do a little bit of a live. Hope everyone's doing good. So, I love this preamp. I can take off the effects. Or just bypass them. Or maybe I can't. This is an RG 560. It's from 1989. The reason shredders like these so much, this neck is about as thin as necks get. It's a 17 millimeter neck profile, and it's wonderful. So yeah, it's why so many shredders are into these old Ibanez guitars, because I mean the neck is just way for friggin' thin, man. And so it plays itself. I mean, it's so easy to play. So yeah, it's always a good thing. When in doubt, go buy an old Ibanez from Japan. Love this thing. So what the heck is everybody up to? How is everybody? Welcome to my little jam session. I'm just practicing a little bit. Thought I would do a little bit of a live. This is the gear for tonight. It is my Soldano clone from Mayazdakov in Russia. The REX 50, which is a SPX 90 clone, and this little bitty amp on top from Hotend, and the RG 560 from Japan. So yeah, it's very cool. Now, these little amps are very handy. Got another one. This is same type of deal. Basically, it's a 5-watt amp, but it's enough to drive a 4x12 cabinet, which is what this one's driving right now, which is a Randall 4x12. So yeah, now I wouldn't gig with it, but it's definitely loud enough to, you know, to drive it as a practice amp, you know. So, do we have anybody watching that is a guitar player? I hope so. Let's see. Yada yada yada. Welcome. I will just keep jamming. So, yeah, 5-watt amp, 2 preamp, digital effects. That riff has gotten a lot of play recently. It was on Stranger Things, which was pretty cool. It's always good to see old school Metallica making a comeback. Thing's got so much gain, it wants to feed back on level 2. It's like, feedback! It's barely loud enough at all. Just got tons of gain. So how the heck is everybody? Hope everyone's doing well. Just thought I would live my practice session just for giggles. Noni Lynch, of course! Gosh, it's been a long time. If I can remember any Lynch. Oh, what was his other song? It was a long time ago. George Lynch, just an amazing player, an amazing guy. Stole so much from him over the years. Just incredible. And actually, he's the guy that got me started on the idea of the soldano. He plays an SLO 100, which is a soldano amp. Now this is just a preamp, so it's sort of the preamp section from a soldano amp. And I always loved George's tone. He always said such killer tone. I thought, well, I'm gonna go get that. Well, the problem is those amps are hugely expensive, and this guy, Myasnikov from Russia, will build you a clone preamp for a few $100 instead of you having to go pay $5,000 for a soldano that was built in the 80s. Then of course you need some effects. That's what this guy is. So it's a tabletop version of a rack unit, which makes it look kind of weird, right? It's not quite a rack unit, right? It's a tabletop unit, which is kind of weird. You can't mount it in a rack really. But it's got one patch on it called Symphonic, which is the only reason to own the whole unit, which is a cool patch. That's what gives it the sort of chorusy, flangey thing. Good stuff. How the heck is everybody? So, are you a big fan of Mr. Lynch? I gotta say, I certainly am. From way back when. One of my favorite players of probably all time. And he is still cranking it out. Still kicking it. Which is a wonderful thing. So, this is my little home studio setup. A few Ibanez guitars. A rack over there, which honestly doesn't get used near as much as it used to. Because so much today can be done with plugins. I mean, your whole rig now is basically software, which is handy, but doesn't leave much for your rack to do, right? But I do still have some rack gear, like this guy that I still like. I mean, my plugins are cool. I've got the Overloud THU, which is my favorite friggin' plugin. Love it. But sometimes you really just want to play with actual hardware, like now. Iron Maiden, of course. Who doesn't love Iron Maiden? You almost have to love Iron Maiden. It's like a requirement. If you don't like Iron Maiden, why even bother listening to music, right? What is the point? You know? Let's see what else we got. I'm just doing my normal finger workout. So what do you guys like to do when you're practicing? Scales? Songs? What's your thing? Good stuff. I'm Todd, by the way. Check out my channel. It's got a bunch of free guitar stuff. A series called Quick Licks, which I am sharing now. I turned them all sort of sideways so you can actually see the guitar. So yeah, check those out. They are, of course, all free. They've got tablature at the end of the video, and they are free on my channel. But thank you very much for joining me. That's about it for tonight. I will see you guys next time. Peace.